Hello, everyone. Welcome to Draft Day here at the Dyl Pickle Movie Network. Elvis is out, and Tom Hanks is in it, and he's been in a lot of movies. So we were like, hey, let's do a Tom Hanks draft, drafting Tom Hanks movies, not just performances, but the movies themselves. And we have some great guest panelists here to talk about that. First, returning to Draft Day after taking a month off. She was on the original episode. She's on Marvelous Movie Mondays every Monday. It's Kelsey. Kelsey, how you doing?
Hi, Dyl. I'm doing so good. How are you?
Welcome back. I'm good. You helped inspire this draft, so I hope you have some good picks, maybe some deep cuts to offer.
Dyl, I am nervous. I'm nervous for this one
Okay.
because I feel very strongly about what animation movie I'm picking, and I just feel like it might go. So when
I
it
might
comes
have a
to me, that
feeling.
might have
Yeah,
to be
I
my
don't know.
first pick.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll get there when we get there. But also bringing in another host. He's been on every draft day thus far. We love to have him here. Chad Webb, co-host of Picture This. We'll show you your name. Hold on, let me pop you up there so they see your name. Sheriff Chatty. How you doing, Chad?
Hey, I'm doing great. I did not have a Tom Hanks shirt, but so I just wore my Jonesy Cat shirt instead.
Nice.
But I do have my Pixar cup
Very
with
nice.
water in it.
Very
I
nice.
do love Tom Hanks. I love that he's America's sweetheart, and yeah, I just love him as an actor. And I love when he pops up in random Carly Rae Jepsen videos,
That's right.
as he
Hey,
sometimes does.
I wish you had brought that to my attention earlier. I could have included music videos on this draft board, but we're only doing movies today. So maybe in the future we can rank cameos and music videos. Also joining us from you've seen him on Marvelous Movie Mondays trivia and just all over the place in trivia places. JD, how you doing, JD?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm really looking forward to talking about America's Dad today.
That's true. A little belated Father's Day gift to all of you talking about Tom Hanks, but
Yeah.
we're doing this in inspiration of Elvis and Father's Day. I guess I didn't even think of Father's Day, but I was like, hey, it works. And also bringing in another familiar face from Marvelous Movie Mondays Trivia League. It is Brian. Brian, how you doing? Or according to him, Tim Honks. How you doing, Tim
It's
Honks?
very good. Great to be here. I'm here to draft my favorite. See which of my favorite picks, Tom Hanks films I could choose from out of the whole
Yeah.
draft, and talk
Yeah.
about my favorite actors as well.
That's great. Yeah, I was honestly surprised because when I looked at this list, I was like, oh, am I gonna be able to find 25 potentially? And yeah, no, there was like 30 on my list. I was like, wow, there are a lot of movies to choose from. But we'll get into the rules in just a sec. What I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna pick the draft order because that's always a fun thing. So I have a wheel here. If your name is brought up on the wheel, you will get to choose where you are in the draft order from first to fifth. And remember that we do snake the draft. So if you are the fifth pick, you get the first pick of the second round. We've seen that strategy come into play, maybe sometimes helping, sometimes hurting. The last draft, the Star Wars draft, Zach actually won it. It looks like there were some more recent Disney Star Wars fans in the last draft because it seemed like BB-8 and Baby Yoda really had a big sway on that draft. So Zach, congratulations on winning that one. But again, these polls stay open all year. So at the end of the year, I'm going to go back and see if any of them have changed because as we bring in more viewers, maybe those polls will change. So first spin is in. And we are off. Let's see who's going to get the first pick at positioning. It is JD. JD, where would you like
Interesting.
to pick in the order? Would you like to be first, second, third, fourth, or fifth?
I thought about this a bit actually yesterday, believe it or not. So,
Strategizing.
I'm actually going to choose third.
Third. All right. Smack dab in the middle. All right. So we're going to remove JD from the wheel. Sorry, JD. You're off the wheel now because you're too cool for this second spin. All right. We're getting the second spin, the anticipation. And it's me. This is tricky because there's one I really want.
Yes, I already
Almost-
know
almost-
which one it is.
I'm taking the
mean,
first overall pick. I'm taking the first overall pick. I'm doing it.
Yeah,
I'm doing
of course
it. I'm taking
you
the first
Of
first
course,
overall
the
pick.
host does it.
I got to do it. I got to do it. But it could backfire
There's-
because that means I won't
I
pick
know
for
there's
eight
two
picks after that. So
There's two
were you gonna say,
specifically I
Chad?
know Dell wants. So
yeah, exactly. But the other one, I feel like if I got another one of that breed, I'd be okay. Chad, you have the next pick. Where would you like to pick? Second, fourth, or fifth?
1 and 3. I don't want fifth, even though it's a back-to-back, because I know something's probably going to go quick. I'll go second.
All right, which means between Brian and Kelsey, we're gonna find
Oh
out
boy.
who's got the fourth and who's got the fifth pick in the
I'm already
draft.
sweating.
Let's find out. Kelsey, your luck has not been terrible with this wheel, but today it is.
Okay.
Brian, would you like to go fourth or fifth? And keeping in mind that we will snake you.
Fourth.
Fourth. All right. So here we are in the order. So it'll be me, Chad, JD, Brian, and then Kelsey. Let's get into the rules though,
Okay.
real quick, just so you guys are aware. So the rules for the Tom Hanks draft is going to be very straightforward. There'll be 5 rounds, as we said. We already picked the draft order. I was technically supposed to do rules first. Whoops. Draft is snaked, meaning Kelsey, you are fifth, so you will have the first pick in the second round, and we'll snake it
Okay.
back and forth until we've got 25 movies. Remember, we are drafting Tom Hanks films, not performances, but obviously the performances influence the films. So feel free to take cameos. You can take films that he has appeared in, but you cannot take like producer credits. So My Big Fat Greek Wedding, we all love it, but he produced it. He was not in it. So you cannot pick that movie, but if it's a smaller movie that he had a scene in, it technically counts. So you're allowed to take anything he has appeared in. Each person must select one and only one animated film. This is tricky because we didn't want a certain film franchise to stack up in one person's favor. We wanted to make sure that everyone could get an animated film, but because there are only 6 animated films to choose from, as far as we know, we are going to limit it to one. So you can take one, and if everyone's taken their animated, you don't have to take it to the last round. Once all the animateds have been taken, though, if that 6th animated movie is still out there, if they've all been picked, we can talk, and maybe you can pick that 6th one if you would like. But if anyone disagrees with the eligibility of a pick, as always, they can veto, and you need 3 of the 4 votes to veto. So one person can say, nah, that shouldn't be overturned. But if the other 3 say, yeah, no, that doesn't count, or that shouldn't count, or that shouldn't be allowed. This one, I don't foresee that happening really, unless there's a movie that he's just not in that you just say. But I think it's pretty straightforward. And one more thing I just wanted to mention. Sometimes in the drafts we like to talk about, I was between this film and this film. That kind of ruins a little bit of the suspense for the films coming up. So if you can just talk a little bit, don't bring up names of films that haven't been brought up yet until they're brought up. You can say I was between a movie that I was really nostalgic for and a movie that was a little bit more current, so I went with blank. But don't say I was between, like if you're a Russell Crowe draft, I was between Les Mis and A Beautiful Mind, and like don't give away picks for later because we want to keep the audience guessing of what could be right around the corner. So without further ado, I have the first pick, and this is tough because there's a franchise out there that I know we have to take an animated movie and stuff. But the thing is, one of those movies in the franchise is my favorite animated movie. It's my favorite Tom Hanks movie. But at the same time, I think I'd be okay getting one of the others if it had to come around. And I want to take a film that is personal to me, that I love, that has just been a staple in my life, and that is Forrest Gump. I'm going to take Forrest Gump number 1. This hasn't
Great
aged
pick.
perfectly with some others, but I think it looks strong on the graphic as a first overall pick. It was his 2nd Oscar in a row, and I really just I love the performance. I think he elevates that film. Beautiful film, but him specifically in it is also just terrific. So Forrest Gump, first pick overall. Anyone have thoughts on that? I mean, it's a pretty generic
Well,
one, but
Dyl, I think that this is just the upset of the century. Who saw this one coming? This
Who
is
knew?
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you're going to pick Forrest Gump. The way you were able to get first overall pick, I knew that this was going to be the first one to go. I know this movie is like your favorite of all time, so this adds up entirely.
Yeah.
I didn't even have Forrest Gump in as one of my 5 because I knew
Same.
like I was either gonna just let you have it or someone else is gonna get it before me.
That's fair. Anyone else have any thoughts on Forrest Gump?
Yeah. We talked really highly about this film on our very first ever Picture This, 1994. We ranked it pretty highly.
What a
We
stacked
both loved
year.
this film. I was wondering if you're not going to go that way. I was like, if it gets back to me, do I steal it right from under you? Or and then I was like,
I don't know.
he's not going to allow for that to happen. So
I was gonna say,
Great
Chad,
film,
you do have the
great
second
pick.
pick, so you are on the clock if you want to take your first overall pick. Chad, what is it gonna be?
Okay. Well, I know, just like you alluded to, there is a certain franchise that's probably going to start going quick as soon as people start to pick it. I'm going to go with this one because I don't want some of the lesser films in the animated category, I would say. So I'm going to go with, and no, it's not the one that Dylan really, really wants, I don't
Okay.
think. I'm going to go with the very first Toy Story.
Good pick. I mean,
Okay.
solid pick.
It's really interesting because it's like, one of those things where Toy Story is like a perfect franchise. I'd even say the 4th one is like really, really high up there, even if it may be the worst of the 4. That's not, saying much because it's still
Right.
fantastic, I think. But I went with the first one because it was the first thing I like fell in love with. One of the first properties ever in movies that I fell in love with. You know, back when it first came out. I was lucky to be alive then. I think JD was alive then. I don't know about the other three. Well, Dylan definitely wasn't. But I saw Toy Story on ice. I watched
Oh, I
this like
remember those
loads of
Oh.
times.
Those are
It's
nice.
just super nostalgic for me. So this one I think is up there. I think like the first three of this franchise could any of them could be argued to be the best of the best. But this one is just such nostalgic for me that I had to go with this one. Toy Story 1.
Yeah, it's a great pick. Yeah, anyone have thoughts? JD, you haven't chimed in yet. Any thoughts on Toy Story? I mean,
100%. I'm with Chad. This is one of the movies. This isn't the movie that this is the movie that like one of the movies that made me fall in love with movies. I said this before. Woody is my favorite cinematic character of all time. He's in my he's easily in the top two. And yeah, the reason for that is I didn't even notice as a kid, but I was always gravitating towards Woody. And I realized he was all in the first Toy Story, he was all my insecurities on screen. My insecurities was there on screen. Somebody like me was on screen. Somebody who was, had self-doubts, fears, and he confronted those in this movie. And it gave me hope for, that, if somebody could figure out their self-doubts and fears, then maybe I could too.
yeah, that's beautifully said. Yeah, so JD, you do have the third pick, so take it away. That was a great segue into your pick. What are you gonna do with your third pick, JD?
So I'm not
first.
choosing my animated film yet. I thought
Okay.
about it. So the movie I'm gonna choose, it's very personal to me because it was when you see Toy Story, you don't know that Woody is really Tom Hanks. This film was my introduction to Tom Hanks, and while it may be a controversial first choice, I love it lots and lots. I'm going that thing you do.
Damn it! That was gonna be my like fifth round little sneaker pick.
Yes.
Damn it, JD.
I was
Wow.
gonna pick that one too at some point.
And I'll
yeah.
tell you
Wow.
why. I'll tell you why. Again, this was my introduction to Tom Hanks. I believe it's one of his two directed films. I believe it's his better of the two. And it introduced us to so many people that would be in our lives for many years to come. Charlize Theron is like very against type to what she is now. She plays a badass now, but nowadays she's in that movie. She was like this prim and proper, like social climber. It's insanity. And my introduction to Ethan Zahn, or Steve Zahn, excuse me.
Steve's on.
Ethan Zahn is the Survivor winner.
The Oneaters.
Yes, the Oneaters. I can quote him endlessly. It's not the Wonders. We're not the Wonders. We're Captain Geese and the Shrimp Shack Shooters. I could quote this endlessly, but but his Mr. White too is one of the greatest. I think it's a great character role. He comes in there. He's kind of slick. He knows about the industry, but under it, he has like a heart under there, and I feel like it's a really underrated role.
Yeah, I was gonna say, JD, I almost didn't want to pick that because I think Tom Hanks is like much more of a supporting role in that than he is in a lot of these other films. But again, we're picking Tom Hanks movies, not Tom Hanks performances, and he directed it. It does have a big part to play in it, despite it being more about the band itself. But I gotta say, also in terms of best original songs at the Oscars, like this one should have won. It was just such a catchy tune. It's a great one-hit wonder within a fictional universe. I really do love that thing you do, the song and the movie. Such a delight. I honestly thought I could get this maybe fourth round, third round. I was saving it in my back pocket as an arsenal, but then I forgot that JD, this is one of the Domash family classics that you put on all the time. So I'm kicking myself because I wasn't gonna take it first overall, but I'm just like, how did that? Wow, I thought that was going to be like the big zinger, like, oh, I got that thing you do. But yeah, no, it's a delightful film. Kelsey, Brian, have you seen this one? Do you like this one?
I don't think I have seen this one.
Yeah, it's a little bit lesser seen,
I
but
have not.
I do love it. Oh, you guys got it. It's so precious. Chad, I know you like this one too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've seen it a couple times. Love this movie. I love Hanks in the movie. He's
Mhm.
not in it that much. It's not really about him, but really shows his like directorial style, and it's amazing.
Mhm.
But I do love when he is in this because it shows a different side to him. Because like JD says, he has kind of like a heart where he wants them to succeed. He has like a little moment with Liv Tyler, I believe. But
Mhm.
other than that, he's a person that doesn't take any bullshit either. So
Right.
I love that side
Cool.
to Hank. So yeah.
Cool. So Brian, you're up next. Your first round pick. What is going to be the fourth overall pick in this Tom Hanks draft?
I'm going with we got one Toy Story down. I'm going with Toy Story 2 as my first round pick.
All right, Toy Story 2. We're
Yeah,
going right in line.
yeah.
Tell me about Toy Story 2.
Yeah, for me, I grew up watching this. I still remember watching the VHS scene, like the commercial for after the credits for the band perform the Woody Roundup theme. I
Yes.
even still remember when they did Toy Story 1 and 2 don't feature 3D. I still remember going to that a long time ago.
Nice. Yeah, I love Toy Story 2 because we like JD was saying with Woody, like it's such a good Woody film. It really fleshes out his character. I almost am wondering because we got Lightyear as like the live action film in the universe or the animated film in the universe that Andy watched as a kid that inspired him to get the toy. I wonder if we're gonna get a Disney Plus Woody's Roundup series because
That
they
would be
seem to
good
be
as
doing
That'd
well.
that.
be awesome.
That'd be
Yes,
pretty cool.
absolutely.
Yeah. Anyone else thoughts on Toy Story 2? I mean, obviously it's Toy Story 2. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing is I feel like Toy Story 2, when it first came out, it was like super underrated. A lot of
Mhm.
people were acting like, it's not as good as the first one. And it turns out it's either equal to or better than the first one.
It
So yeah,
is.
it's fantastic. I love
Yeah.
the whole Jesse
Oh
storyline. That
gosh, rip
really
my
gets
heart
you in the
out.
feels every single time. Yeah,
Fun
exactly.
fact
Yeah.
about that, it was supposed to be a direct video originally, but after they saw that backstory, they made to go. They wanted to be in theaters.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. Like
Nice.
that, it was something at this quality that they were just gonna put on VHS straight to video. But I'm glad the creators saw that and was like, we got to put it in theaters because it is so good. Great pick, Kelsey. You get two in a row now. So take your first round pick. So this is gonna be you get two in a row, but just mind you, one is gonna be higher on the graphic than the other. So think
Okay.
strategically. You've been in this
Okay.
position before, the double pick. So let us know. This is your second time drafting in the fifth spot. So what are you gonna pick as your first round pick to close out this first round?
Okay, well, luckily nothing on my list has gone yet. And I
Oh,
That's
good.
forgot, oh
good.
my God, I was just debating back and forth like which one I was gonna pick first because like I'm honestly shaking in my boots. I'm so nervous. It's also hot as hell in my apartment right now. I closed all my windows and shut off my fan so the audio is good. So I'm like literally sweating.
No wonder.
Okay, so I'm gonna claim my animation movie because it's at the top of my list. It's my favorite Christmas movie of
I
all
knew you were
time.
gonna do this. I knew you
I
were gonna do this.
know it's
Oh,
I know
Wow.
it's controversial. I know some people don't like it. They think that the animation style is too realistic or not realistic enough, but I love it. It fills me with warmth and joy every year. I make an effort to watch like I have like a whole watch party just with myself every season to watch this movie, and it is The Polar Express.
I knew you were doing it. I knew.
Yep.
I'll be honest. I think you could have gotten it later, but I'm glad you stuck with your personal guns and you stuck with your heart because I know
yeah.
you love this movie. Tell us like yeah you I mean you've told us, but do you have like a favorite? Do you have a favorite role of Tom Hanks in this role because he plays a lot of them?
He made all of them, I
Mm.
believe.
Yeah.
I think probably the hobo, just because that character is so complex and like you
Hmm.
go back and forth the whole movie. Like, is this guy a ghost? Is he real? You know, he's. Granted, though, the puppet sequence is like terrifying. It like
That movie is terrifying.
freaks me out
I
at
don't
the
like
end.
it because it freaks me out. It's like the animation's so realistic, but the eyes aren't. So like the eyes are like
Oh,
all these like dead beady eyes, and it just freaks me out.
Uncanny Valley.
And I took a Robert Zemeckis film. Like I like Robert Zemeckis. It's just like his animation stuff kind of creeps me out. It gives me the
Yeah.
EBGBs.
All of them are creepy.
no, I like this film.
But it does have a heartwarming. Yeah.
I see past the creepiness of it just because it's like it's just so cool and I love it. I just love this
Yeah.
movie.
Great.
As
Chad, you're a
much
Christmas
as I
fiend. Yeah. Let us know. What do you
I
think?
was just about to say, as much as I love Christmas movies, I've never seen this one. I
Wow.
think it
Chad,
came out
what?
when
You're Mr.
I think it
Christmas.
I think it came out when like I just wasn't really into like kids movies, I guess, or just
Mm.
wasn't watching a lot of new ones. There's a lot of like Disney movies I haven't seen either that people have the same reaction to. But anyways, yeah, I've also just kind of been had people tell me like you don't have to watch that one, but I do have a lot of Christmas is one of the genres of film, if it's you can call it a genre of film that I am more likely to watch like bad movies and like movies that are kind of really weird and strange, as long as they have like some sort of like heart to them, as like a Christmas movie.
I think
So
you'd
yeah,
like
I
this
might
one.
check this one out this December. Then okay, I'll check it out for sure.
Cool. So Kelsey, you do get back-to-back picks. So
I think
tell us.
Jay Wilson in the chat, he has something to say.
Oh
I
yeah,
believe.
JD, go ahead.
Oh yeah, because I was gonna say, full disclosure, I'm Jewish, but I have actually seen this movie and I actually do really enjoy it.
There you go.
I truly yes, the animation style has not held up, but I like when I first saw it, I actually found it really whimsical, and I do think that even as people with different religions, I think there's something to latch onto about childhood and keeping on to that wisdom as long as possible.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of follows.
The film was the hot chocolate. That's the only thing that resonates with me for that film.
Hot cocoa scene's so good. Yeah, JD, that kind of falls in line with the Toy Story stuff too. Like it has a similar vibe to it. All that. Kelsey, you get another pick now. So what is going to be your non-animated pick now? Now you picked an animated. Well, what's next on your list?
Okay, I have a lot of good things. I think there's so many things that I want to like lock down for myself, but I don't know if anyone like vibes with the same Tom Hanks movies as I do. So I'm just gonna lock this one down. I had to lock down Mulan in the Disney draft for similar reasons as locking this movie down, and it is A League of Their Own.
I shouldn't have picked first pick. That was my second pick. Okay.
I'm so sorry, but like, oh my god! First of all, I love an underdog movie. I love a sports movie. I love a war movie. Foreshadowing. And this one is just like all of them combined, and it's a different kind of character that I don't think we see Tom Hanks play a lot. This like grumpy alcoholic, and he still does it just as well, and you still love him like the whole movie, and you're rooting for these girls and you root for the team, and I love it. Women empowerment and all that.
I'm so sad because that was gonna be like my second pick. I was gonna be like, I can't believe I got this. Baseball.
I'm so sorry.
I wore this because I was like baseball. No crying in baseball, and now of course
there's no crying in baseball.
Now I'm gonna be crying over the baseball pick. No, it's a great pick. It's a great pick, especially just in the height of everything that's been going on. Like women empowerment is so important right now, and I think that film really emphasizes that. It's such a great film. I'm so pissed at myself. You know what? I should have picked fifth overall, so I could have just gotten League of Their Own and That Thing You Do. But no, JD would have taken it from me anyway. I don't know. Anyone else?
Let's all be happy that Kelsey got the pick because it's a great movie and she loves it.
I am very happy. I'm just. I can still be salty though because I wanted it. But very good, very good pick, Kelsey. My top three were Forrest Gump, League of Their Own, and That Thing You Do. So like it's
nice.
It's
it is
now.
A great movie. Great pick for sure. Different kind of role, like you said. I saw it not that long ago, actually, as a part of like a movie club I'm a part of. Three of us are a part of, actually. But just different kind of role. Very sweet movie. It wouldn't have been super high up, but I thought about it. I was like, that could be a good pick.
And let me just say, Madonna didn't do a bad job in this movie.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, 100%.
Good for her.
Yep. All right, so Brian, you're next for the second pick in round 2. What would you like to take as your second pick?
For me, I'm gonna go with the role that my favorite live action Tom Hanks performance as Mr. Rogers in The Beautiful Day Neighborhood.
Oh, nice pick.
Nice. Good job. Yeah.
Very recent one.
Tom Hanks do like a whole snap of Mr. Rogers episode type ask film. It actually turned me up seeing this way to see him as Tom Hanks, saw him more as Mr. Rogers as more. So that was my pick.
Yeah, no, it's a very good pick. Anyone else thoughts on
Good
the
pick.
Mr. Rogers movie, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood?
Yeah, it's definitely a really, really good one. It's just weird because like I fell in love with the documentary that came out
Same.
before it, so like
Hmm.
my excitement for the movie was a little bit lower, but I did really think it was a very sweet movie, and I like the approach that they took on it. Very good pick.
Cool.
So it was one of my potential 5th round picks. It was definitely on the list of potentials. I think like Chad was saying, I think what tempered it was that I think, again, Won't You Be My Neighbor I think is so more in depth, and you get so more of the personality, where this is just more like the persona, and then only at the end you really get to see kind of a glimpse of the guy behind the curtain, so to
Yeah.
speak.
And what's interesting is it's not really a Mr. Rogers movie. It's a
Yes.
movie about a guy who's going
Yes.
through stuff that has Mr. Rogers as an influence, which I really like. It's a cool way to
Mhm.
approach it, making him more of a supporting character. Which there's another movie on my long list that kind of has a similar thing, where it's like it's a movie about this person, but it's really not. It's Tom Hanks as a someone guiding someone else or talking to
I think I
someone
know
else.
what
or
you're
whatever.
I think I know which one
thinking
you're talking about. That would be a good
Yeah,
choice.
I know. I'm not gonna give away picks, so I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah.
Kelsey, were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna say, I get what everyone's saying about the documentary, but I feel like part of the fun of this movie is watching Tom Hanks embody Fred Rogers, and as someone
He does
who's
a great
like
job. Yeah.
first, like I'm sure you can all relate to this, but as like someone whose first like introduction to television as a very small child was Mr. Rogers. It was like it just like brought me back. I like teleported. I was like, oh my god, I'm in my
Yep.
like 90s style house sitting on my rug with like my Legos or something. You know what I mean? I was like,
Yeah.
That's
this is
cute.
just like super fun.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
All right,
Mhm.
it's a
JD,
good
you're
pick.
up.
Right
You're
there.
up number 3 of round 2. What are you gonna go with, JD?
So I'm gonna go with my favorite director, pairing with one of my favorite actors on top of Tom Hanks. I'm going with Catch Me If You Can.
God
great pick.
damn
That's
it,
a great
JD.
pick.
I was gonna
Okay.
say
Damn
you
it.
said
Good
favorite
pick.
director, and I was like Spielberg, and I was like, wait, there's like 6, 7 of them. So I was
Yes.
like, which
He
one are you
grabbed
going
it
with?
right before
Yeah,
I
so
was going to pick it. Son of a bitch.
so it's for a number of reasons. Like I think I could spend there's going to be a similar choice for some reason. I could spend like 3 or 4 more hours with Leonardo DiCaprio's Frank William Abagnale and Carl just chasing him. I could watch like a 5-hour movie of just them and their interplay. But at the heart of it is really a father and son relationship, and they're both dealing with kind of lost families. I just think it's a brilliant movie, and again, it's very fun, and I could spend multiple hours with it.
Yeah. Anyone else have thoughts? I know Chad, you were upset that he snagged
Honestly,
it.
this is like his most underrated performance. A lot of people don't really talk about this performance of Tom Hanks.
Yeah, it's a very good performance.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I was definitely this was going to be my next pick because I didn't know if someone was going to like, swipe that out from under me, JD, but no, great pick, great choice. I'm happy you got that cuz it was going to be my next pick. It's definitely one of my favorite. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it is definitely when I watch it one of my favorite things to watch. I just love I'm a huge fan of Better Call Saul. I just love stuff that it's about like confidence men just like going around and getting one over on people and like dressing in costumes and like just pretending to be something else and just it's just brilliant. Like you can watch on YouTube like breakdowns of scenes about how you think he's gonna be caught and then like he just finds a way to get out of the situation. You're like, how the hell did he do that? And yeah, Tom Hanks plays a really great role in it as well. But yeah, Leo is fantastic in that movie. So yeah.
All right. So, Chad, you do have the 4th pick in round 2. I know JD took the one you wanted, but do you
Yeah,
have
that's all right.
do you have a backup? Do you have one?
Yeah, of course. It would be weird if I was like, well, I got nothing else, guys. I guess continue without me. No, but yeah, I'm all right. In that case, definitely not one of my favorite movies. And we've covered this on Picture This, but I am going to go with the other Spielberg one. I'm going to go with Saving Private Ryan. I just think this one is more of a strategic pick, but I also really, specifically since this is a Tom Hanks list, I think this is one of his greatest roles for sure. You know, he just brings so much like heart to this movie, just like, you know, his conversation with Ryan at the end of the film, just like him keeping everybody guessing about his thing when he like keeps like the story about his wife or something like. He's like, just this one's just for me. You know, just the way he plays the school teacher having to be drafted into this war and crying alone. He shows kind of like the whole, you know, toxic like man thing that you have to do. Like you can't cry around all of your, you know, subordinates. They're going to they're not make fun of you, but they're going to, you know, not take you seriously or something like that. And it really shows like that kind of way you seem to have to be a leader. And, you know, it's just a great performance. It's a great movie. Freaking amazing. Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised you picked that just because I know both you and I were very critical of certain elements of Saving Private Ryan on Picture This, but as just, cinematic achievement, and it looks great on the graphic, like, it really is one of the more monumental Tom Hanks films, so it needed to be picked at some point. I think second round is obviously a great place for it. Anyone else thoughts on Saving Private Ryan?
That's a tough blow for my picks.
Oh,
sorry.
To watch as well.
What was that, Brian?
It's like a hard one to rewatch as well. Like
for sure, pisses me off every time. Yeah,
for sure. So I cannot believe this. I'm picking Toy Story 3. I got my favorite animated movie. I cannot believe it got back around to me.
Oh, you like that one?
Yeah, I do. People who know me know it's like Singing in the Rain, and then it's Toy Story 3. Like Toy Story 3 is like my second favorite movie of all time. It's my favorite Tom Hanks film. It just, for this draft, I was like, if someone takes Toy Story 3, I'll probably get one of the other Toy Stories. Worst case scenario, I could get, because I knew Kelsey would take Polar Express. No, I know you would get Polar Express. I was like, worst case scenario, because now that we've all, oh no, we haven't all picked our animated. It's never mind. I won't say a pick. But there's another one also that I was like, if I get it at the last round, it'll be a fun little graphic for me. But like, no, I'm very happy I got Toy Story 3. I think it's my favorite Toy Story movie. I think it's probably the best one in my opinion. I love it. I think that last scene with him giving away the toys is still the most I've ever cried ever. And I've seen it maybe 10 times and I've cried harder every time. It's one of those movies that with age gets even better because you get older, you have more experiences, you have more reflection to do. I think it's a brilliant movie, deserved the Best Picture nomination and deserved the win. I know people are Social Network and Inception stands, but 2010, I think it should have been Toy Story 3. We'll get there when we get there and Picture This. Things might change. I don't know when we rewatch all those movies, Chad, but I really do love this movie so much. I am a big fan, probably the biggest fan of it. So I can't believe I got it second round. I'm very happy. Anyone thoughts on Toy Story 3 while we're still on the topic?
It's perfect film.
Yeah, it's a perfect film. I agree.
It's definitely Well, I was just going to add, it's definitely one of those where like you're like, can Toy Story do it? Can they keep it going? And this one came out like after like years since the first two, and it's one that came out and you're like, oh my god, this is like, I don't know, it's just a masterpiece. I definitely mirror your enthusiasm for it, Dyl.
There you go.
Great pick.
So first pick of the third round too. There's still some heavy hitters I think that are like more of like the popular picks. And I'm gonna go with one that I think is gonna be a big popular pick, especially because when you think of Tom Hanks movies, this is a Tom Hanks movie through and through. There's really not many other characters in it. I'm going with Castaway. I think it is one of those movies that immediately, like, people see it, they know the famous iconography, the images of, Wilson, and it's a volleyball and you feel things.
Yeah,
it's like how great survivalist movie, just a great performance through and through. It just really dives into the human psyche and the survivalist aspects, and just a thoroughly engaging watch. And I think for third round getting it, I think that's pretty good value for Castaway considering how popular it is. So yeah, I'm going Castaway as my third pick. Any thoughts?
Yeah, Castaway's
great.
It's
solid.
How do you watch this dude on an island for like 3 hours and be entertained like pretty much the whole time? I mean, I watched this as a kid and I was entertained the whole time.
Right.
Because you could just watch Tom Hanks pretty much do anything, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's funny that there's some movies that we're just gonna bring up and everyone's just like,
So-
"Yep, nope, great pick," yeah, because there's really not much discussion
Yeah.
needed. Like we haven't had any controversial picks except for maybe save for maybe Kelsey's animated, but still, I love the pick because it's a very personal one, Kels, and you rocked that. Now moving on, let's go to Chad with your third pick overall. What is going to be your third pick?
I'm like between two. I'm gonna go with one I think is a very sweet movie, directed by a woman who I think is she passed away now. I think she is, but
Unfortunately.
it's fan. I guess you know which one I'm going with.
Well, I assumed
Yeah,
it's next on my list, so I assumed it was on yours too. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Big.
Yeah. Big.
Yeah, I think this one is
Okay.
pretty iconic.
Okay.
You know, every time you go and you see that damn Zoltar machine, you're like, oh, in your head, you're probably like, I want to be big, even though you probably are big by now. But you know, you still like, I want to be even bigger. Like, I don't know. But yeah, no. This movie's fantastic. You know, he becomes big, and then big, not in any other context other than he grows up quicker than he wanted to, and then he gets to see like how it's kind of weird that he's big now and stuff. I don't have a lot to say about it. I haven't seen it in
Yeah.
a very long time,
It's
but
a
I do
classic,
know it's
yeah.
a really great film. Like there's the great piano sequence. He gets like an apartment in New York City. It's very weird.
Yeah.
But very great, and I love it. Big.
I think that's a movie where the premise you can like play around with it and spoof it if you wanted to. Like, I wish I was big, and then it's just like it's still a child, but just like an 8-foot child. I think that would be hilarious. Or even worse, just like the Violet in
That's
Willy
terrifying.
Wonka just wakes up and just big.
The big blueberry.
He
Yeah.
gets turned into a blueberry.
Like big. It's not very specific. I'm glad Zoltar knew what he was talking about and was able to deliver the exact expectations there. But yeah, no, great pick again. Iconic.
Thanks.
When you think of Tom Hanks, that's one of the first ones you think of. So
I think that's
it's gonna
his
play
first
great
Oscar nomination too. I think.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it was very early on.
Sure.
So JD, you got the third pick in round 3. What are you going with? You still have your animated on the board out there, but you don't need to take it right away because everyone else has. So you can take another film. You can take your animated now if you want. Up to you.
Yeah, I'm not going to take my animated now. It's
Okay.
kind of.
Pointless.
So I'm going back and forth between two.
Okay.
I think there's a good shot that this one of them is going to be still there for round 4. So I guess I will go with Ron Howard's Apollo 13.
Good one. Yeah. Another classic.
So I actually rewatched this last night and kind of prepped for this. I forgot how much it's an really well shot, well made movie. It's such an interesting time for as somebody who's fascinated by space, as somebody who never will probably ever never wants to go up there. It's a fascinating time for the NASA program, and they go into that a lot. Like, now that we've been to space, the novelties kind of wore off, and they don't want to show the space. They don't want to show that on television anymore. It's only when disaster happens that it now becomes television again, and but it's also it could be so easily hopelessness, like dreadful, and at times it is, but ultimately it's optimism and ingenuity that takes the day. It's such, and Tom Hanks is really good as Jim Lovell. Like, they got a really good ensemble there too. Bill Paxton, rest in peace, as Fred Hayes, playing hypothermia, and you really fear for him, even though you know what happens. It's really impressive to this day how suspenseful it is.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, anyone else thoughts on Apollo 13?
No, it's a good pick.
Cool.
Good pick, JD.
Like Kelsey said.
Yeah, again, it's a lot of these picks is just so straightforward. Like, there's very little controversy to be had. Brian, you have the fourth pick in round 3. Do you have a controversial pick, or are you gonna keep going on the famous Tom Hanks classics train? I mean, there's still so many left out there. What's going to
There
be your next
is.
pick?
I'm gonna go with a pick that I'm surprised didn't get nominated for an Oscar, and that is as his Walt Disney Saving Mr. Banks.
Save Mr. Banks. Yeah, that was the one I alluded to earlier.
Yep.
Very similar to Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood because it's
Yeah,
like,
like him, he's perfect
yeah.
Walt Disney. Like the mannerisms, even though not in the film that much, he's still perfect as Walt Disney.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a really good portrayal of Walt Disney. Kelsey, you look upset. He took your pick, I assume.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah, that's the tough thing about being a bookend in this draft is you have to watch eight picks go by. I feel the same pain. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Kelsey? Because you did like that movie a lot.
I mean, like, there's only really one actor who can encapsulate not only Mr. Rogers but also Walt Disney, and that is Tom Hanks. Like, he's just so charismatic, and he gives each and every one of his characters like so much detail, time, and attention. Like, you can just tell, like, you can tell he puts so much work into it, but his acting is still effortless. And this is really just a perfect movie, I think. Like, it's really just so heartfelt, and it gives you the warm and fuzzies. And I am absolutely crushed that I do not have this on my draft.
It's a tough draft.
Oh.
This one's gonna break hearts.
Really
I definitely think so. Yeah, it's a great pick. Anyone else thoughts on Saving Mr. Banks?
Oh, it's a really good movie.
Oh, nice.
Really?
You should check
I
it out.
haven't seen it, Chad.
Oh, Chad, really? Really?
You have Disney Plus?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have Disney Plus? Then you have no reasons why. You should not have seen this movie. You need to watch
I have a lot of
this
things
movie.
to watch.
Yes, Kelsey's just
sure you
building a
do.
watch list for Chad for this episode. Polar Express and Save Mr. Banks. Yes. Yeah. No, it's similar, like I said, yeah, to the Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood because it's like you're playing such a famous person, but it's not about them. You know, this is about the writer of Mary Poppins struggling to give up the rights to her book to adapt into a movie. Growing up, I was never the biggest Mary Poppins fan. I don't know why I am now, but
Really?
I like it now a lot. But yeah, I think this movie helped me understand that movie a lot more and like appreciate that movie a lot more to where like now Mary Poppins is so good because you know I've seen Save Mr. Banks. So it's one of those movies that makes other movies I appreciate more, which I also love about it. So Kels, I know you were devastated over that pick, but you get 2 in a row now. So what is going to be your next pick in this draft?
Okay. So I had to do a lot of thinking and a lot of contemplating over here, but I feel like you just can't go wrong with picking an Oscar-winning performance. So I am taking the other movie that he won an Oscar for, and I'm gonna snag Philadelphia while I can because listen, it wasn't
all my
even,
picks.
and I'll be honest, it wasn't even like in my stratosphere of the movies that I really wanted and really loved because all the movies have went now. The only 2 I have are the ones that have been my first pick. So I'm just gonna go with which is you know, like I said, an Oscar-winning performance. I'm gonna get Philadelphia because I just feel like that can only help my bracket from here on out.
I mean, there's a reason he won that in a year where Liam Neeson was playing Oscar Schindler. You know, this guy still beat him, and it's such a great performance. The chemistry with Denzel Washington's character. I mean, that performance is just devastatingly good. Like, and to the point where people get annoyed. Like, spread the wealth. Stop giving an actor an Oscar 2 years in a row. But like, you know, Philadelphia and Forrest Gump. Like, he really did a great job both times. Like, yes, there are other actors you could award, but like. You can't really argue against it because it's such a good performance. Yeah, and the song, the Bruce Springsteen song, so good. That just I love when Bruce Springsteen will just come in and write a song that just kind of like sums up the whole movie, just like he did with The Wrestler too. Just such a good track. But yeah, anyone else thoughts on Philadelphia? JD, Chad, Tim Honks.
It's a very hard movie to watch, but very important movie.
Yeah.
And he just does a
Forrest
fantastic job. So does Denzel. Yeah, fantastic movie.
Cool. JD, any thoughts or?
I like this movie. I think everybody said what I said. Hard to watch. Don't really watch it that often.
Yeah, there you go.
No, certainly not.
So, Kels, let's see if you continue on the trend of sad movies or if you go back to more uplifting ones. What are you going to do for your 4th pick in this Tom Hanks draft? Because you get 2 in a row now.
You know,
this is your 2nd of your 2 in a row. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I was going to keep the trend going of hard to watch movies, but I think I'm going to change it up. and go for something more lighthearted. Probably not, I don't think a movie any of you might have had on your list or anything, but it's I love a good rom-com, and I love these two together in this movie, and I thought they were
There we
very
go.
delightful to watch.
Oh no.
So I'm going with You've Got Mail.
Darn
Oh,
Wow!
Dang.
Wow! I am very
that was my
surprised.
next pick too, Kels. That was my next pick.
I am
That was my
so
next pick.
sorry, everyone.
I had Philadelphia, You Got
Wow.
Mail as my next two. Damn it.
Damn, I'm happy I got it then, because I
Yeah.
really don't know what I would have done if I didn't get this movie, because it's
Tell us,
good.
what do you love
Solid.
about it? What do you love about it?
I just love, they made their chemistry was so good that they had to make, another movie together.
Right.
Alluding to, not saying the title, but
This is the third. This is the
Tom-
third. Yeah, third one.
Tom Hanks and Meg
Is-
Ryan,
Yeah,
they're
perfect.
back and forth, their quippiness, like their just their chemistry, and that really just like sold me on this movie for them.
sure.
So
Yeah, JD, you were very upset about that. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Upset meaning because you took a pick. Like you're happy about that movie, but yeah, let me hear your
I'm
thoughts.
happy the movie got picked. I'm not happy. I'm not happy that I wasn't the one that chose it. That's another
I know how you feel.
Family classic. So it's very. So that was my introduction to Tom Hanks, the romantic lead. Remake of Shop Around the Corner. I actually watched Shop Around the Corner later, and I didn't actually like it as much. It's weird. Like it's like they've remade that movie a number of times, and I'm like,
there's a
you got
musical
a great
too.
movie out of it.
She Loves Me. Great musical. Yeah.
It's weird that I didn't really like Shop Around the Corner, but yeah, and it's such an interesting modern update. As a technology guy, I give it a pass because of my nostalgia, but the technology and how the mail works is kind of weird, but that's fine. Really good pick. I love this movie. It's
Any other
I'll
thoughts?
say just like
yeah.
lastly, it was real quick. It was real it was real funny watching a movie when they're like so stressed about just like email being like the thing that's gonna like, oh my god, we're gonna get addicted to sending emails, like technology's taking over. I'm like, if the characters in the movie could see what's like how technology has advanced today, I think they would all explode.
Oh, to me, the most insane thing is when you look at the credits and you look at how many people just worked on the email graphics because because that's not how emails work. So like they had like a whole 500 people just working on the mail graphics.
Right.
Well, they kind of also did the same thing in Love, Simon more recently with trading emails and stuff. So it hasn't gone away.
Yeah, email's still a thing. Yeah, but
Romantic.
yeah, I like that it is like such a film of its time too. Like I love how like no other movie. It's kind of like Punch Drunk Love with the phones. It's like that movie
I
isn't
love
the
that
same
movie
if
so
you
much.
have cell
Such a good
phones. That's
film.
not the same thing. If this movie was made in 2010, it's not the same movie. It doesn't ring as true.
I don't think
the
this
email
movie
aspect,
works if you go like even like 2002. Like
Exactly,
this movie gets made like 2 or 3 years later. It's done. It's a completely different movie.
Yeah, and some may say that dates the film, but I think it makes it more special and more of a time capsule. But moving on now to Brian, your fourth round pick. What are you gonna pick? Joining Toy Story 2, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and Saving Mr. Banks. What are you adding to that roster?
I'm going to go with lighthearted. A most controversial pick. I'm going with The Terminal.
The Terminal.
Nice.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
So
another Spielberg
underrated.
film.
It is. I love his performance, his chemistry with Catherine Zeta-Jones, Stanley Tucci, all the people in the airport, and it's nice seeing a film set in the airport. You don't really get films like that.
Yeah. I actually haven't seen this one because I've heard it's not amazing,
Ooh.
but I think I hearing what you've said, Chad, and what you've said, Brian, like I'm interested to check it out because I do think people are now kind of praising it as something that's more underrated because it's Spielberg too, so like it's got to have something there. But Chad, you mentioned you thought this was underrated. Any other thoughts on The Terminal?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember like the reception of it, people acting like it's one of the worst movies ever made, and it's just kind of a very sweet film of a guy being trapped in in an airport, and then like shit is happening at his home country because he's foreign and he's scared and he's just trying to like just the little things, and work for him. And it's kind of maybe like something that Spielberg hasn't really done before at that time. And then I think that's probably what people are maybe expecting, something bigger. I don't know, but I think it's a very sweet movie.
Cool. All right, moving on. JD, your fourth pick of the draft. What are you gonna pick?
I think this is going to be something that I think is going to surprise a lot of people, but I think it's underrated. It's Mike Mickles directed. I'm
man.
going Charlie Wilson's War.
Not
Taking
bad.
all mine.
So yeah, to me, it's an underrated movie. It's a lot of fun. I could just watch Charlie Wilson and Phillips, played by Tom Hanks, and Philip Seymour Hoffman's Gus for another 2 hours. Like, I know this is the most prominent thing that Charlie Wilson, the real life person, ever did, but I could just watch another 4 hours of them just like bickering back and forth as they're trying to try to get these things past Congress. But it's so fascinating too. Rewatching it, they frame it around like the medal ceremony. He's getting recognized for all his contributions for ending the Soviet Union. But like, it's actually an anti-war movie, really, because it's all about how it's factual based, but it's all about how they did all this stuff, but then they fucked it all up because they left. They have to exit at some point. It's really, I think. I'm shocked most people don't talk about it more. By the way, if you want to see how he got his Southern accent for Elvis, watch this movie.
Yes.
But go ahead. I just want
to. I was just gonna say, yeah, like this one is a great one. I mean, anyone who knows me very well knows I love The Graduate. So Mike Nichols, one of my favorite filmmakers, and this was his last film, and I think it's very interesting to see a movie in 2007. Just to see how his career grew since the 60s and just to see where he ended. And great performances through and through. Philip Seymour Hoffman, I always love watching and everything too. So like this one is a great one. It was on my list. Again, so many great films. So like, I still have more on my list that I'm excited to talk about, but this was definitely one I'm glad someone picked it because I think it's underrated for sure. It's probably the lesser known movie of this crop so far, but I think those who haven't heard of it will discover it and will enjoy it. So any other thoughts on that? Anyone?
Haven't seen this one.
Yeah.
Haven't seen it either.
Yeah. Chad, tell us about something you have seen. Let us know what your fourth pick in the fourth round is.
Oh hell yeah! I'm so glad that this movie made it back to me because I was like, this was the other one that I wanted to pick, and then I went with the last one I did. I think Big or whatever. I'm going with this. Has to be on my list because I'm a huge. You're gonna know what it is. Stephen King fan.
Oh, I know.
Going with The Green Mile.
The Green Mile. Yep. And you're a big Frank Darabont fan too, because we know your favorite film is Shawshank.
Yes,
so this one I knew was gonna be on your list. I knew it.
One of my favorite films. Yeah, I mean, unless someone stole it from me, but I didn't pick it super high. There's some other ones that I kind of thought were more in the public consciousness that people love a lot more. So I went a lot more strategic, other than Toy Story. But this one I had to get on there. I haven't seen this a ton of times or anything like that, as much as Shawshank, but I do absolutely think this movie is fantastic. I remember when this first came out, it was 2 VHSs back when it was Titanic and this had 2 VHSs. And my parents were watching it and I was too scared because of all the, murder scenes with the electric chair, because they used to do that. And I just think a lot of these characters are so endearing, and then Sam Rockwell plays a kind of, negative performance. And, so there's a lot going on in the movie. I don't really have too much to say about it. I just think it's a really great prison Stephen King movie with some, kind of supernatural elements to it, which makes it really, really fun. But just also very deep. Great film. I love it so much. The Green Mile.
I was gonna say the Michael Clark Duncan performance too, just shatters me.
Yes,
so good.
Yes.
Just such a gentle.
John
giant.
Coffey, absolutely. Yeah.
Anyone else have thoughts on the Green Mile? It's a long one, but it's a good one. Anyone? Have thoughts?
It's a long one, but it's a
It's a
good
long
one.
one to watch.
Yeah,
I
I'm
time to
so
rewatch it.
sad.
Yeah.
it's Michael Clark Duncan. It's kind of surprising that, like, I mean, to me, like, rest in peace, gone so soon.
yes.
Like,
Yeah.
he's known for playing like these big, bulky, like thug types, but he can also. It's surprising how gentle he actually, can play, and apparently that's actually closer to who he actually is in real life, which is also kind of surprising to hear when you hear things about that. Yeah, and there Tom Hanks's and Michael Clark Duncan's interplay, I think, really
Yeah.
make this a great pick.
Yeah, because you also get like the thing, because like Tom Hanks is basically, he has like a whole thing where he can't perform like, sexually, he can't even like, use the bathroom right and stuff because he has some sort of disease. And John Coffey like helps him basically heal. And so it's just like a really cool like relationship that they build. Sorry if that's TMI, but it's part of the movie.
Yeah. So moving on to pick 5 in this round. I get my last 2 picks now. So I wanted to pick something because Toy Story 3 is feel good, but it's very heavy in the tears, and Forrest Gump is a tearjerker, Castaway is a tearjerker. So I want to pick something a little lighter. So I'm gonna go with a rom com. I was a little worried, Kelsey, you might take my one of mine. You did take one of mine. You've got mail, but
Oh.
I
We
picked
know
another
what it
Meg
is.
Ryan.
I'll
Another
take
Meg
another
Ryan,
two.
Tom Hanks, rom com, and that is Sleepless in Seattle. I
Sure.
went with the second
Okay.
one. I know there's still one more before that, but this was the second one of theirs, and this one, I am such a sucker for romance, such a sucker for this shit, especially like the whole like destiny thing, and like they knew it, time, distance, nothing could separate them. Like, oh my gosh, this movie it's a tearjerker, but in a good like happy way. I love this one. It's so romantic, and I just love their chemistry. I wanted to get a Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks on there. I think it rounds out my crop pretty well, especially because the next one's a little heavier again that I'm gonna pick. But Sleepless in Seattle, it's great. It really uses the city well. I love when a film can like kind of just use the city as a nice little backdrop. Yeah, it's really well done. It's kind of adapted. It's not as original as some of these other movies. It's like kind of adapted from older stories. We covered one on Picture This, Chad, Love Affair. Like it kind of borrows same beats and similar beats from those, but I think it does them very well, especially when you have actors as charismatic as these. I think it's a breathtaking piece of film. So, anyone thoughts on Sleepless in Seattle?
No.
Yeah, it's a good romantic
I was gonna
movie.
say,
Good job.
Not really.
That's okay. No, I'll move on to my next one then because all these films are great. So it's hard. No one's really had much controversy in this draft, but maybe this one will be just because it was controversial that this didn't get him a Best Actor nomination. I have it. Where is it? Right here. It is Captain Phillips. That's going to be my 5th pick.
That's
Ah.
good.
Captain
I'm the
Phillips
captain
to
now.
me. Yes, Captain Phillips. A lot of people just think of it for that line, the "I am the captain now," the hijacking and all that. But for me, the best part of that movie is afterwards when he's with the doctor, who was a real doctor. They did not hire an actress; they had a real doctor come in, and just seeing his like kind of PTSD in the moment, like minutes after it happened, just to see him like shaking and having these like really bad like traumatic responses to everything going on. I think that scene alone should have not only got him nominated for the Oscar, but won the Oscar. I really do think that was a stacked year. You had Wolf of Wall Street, Leonardo DiCaprio, you had Dallas Buyers Club, Matthew McConaughey, but that performance, Tom Hanks and Captain Phillips, is really what I remember from that year, and I'm shocked it didn't even get nominated. So it's just one of those powerful performances. Barkhad Abdi's first role as one of the
He won
Somalian.
that Oscar, I believe.
Yeah, I think he might have lost it to
He lost it. He got nominated.
Jared
for it,
Leto.
though.
To Jared Leto.
Oh, I remember that. I
But
remember now. Yeah.
but he did,
Right,
but he did
right.
get nominated, and that was such a big thing because he was probably just brought on because they were looking for people of a certain descent, and he fit the role well, but they probably didn't think he was going to be a big Oscar player. But then he ends up getting nominated for an Oscar for his first role as this Somalian pirate villain character. Like it was so good. Barkhad Abdi's performance. So, like this whole movie is just built with so much great tension. Paul Greengrass, I really love his style. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the heightened tensions and all that, like I really do love just how well this is paced. I love the ending. I love the beginning. I love everything about it. And I think that we see a lot of movies where Tom Hanks is like commanding something disastrous, like whether it be like the Apollo 13 thing or other films where he's like in charge of this vehicle or in charge of this ship or something like that, and he's got to like help keep everything under control. Like that's just such a good Tom Hanks role, or a plane maybe. Maybe we'll get to it. But yeah, like he's got that role down. Like he really fits that role so perfectly. Kind of the one who has to kind of be the one to kind of keep everyone's spirits high, but also like get to the root of the problem and save the day. But he does this in such a more tortured manner toward the end, a much more layered character than some of these other performances even that he's done. So really, really incredible. I love Captain Phillips. Anyone have any thoughts on Captain Phillips? I think it's a little underrated, but I'm not sure. Maybe y'all think
I agree. It's very underrated of his.
It's also like a phantom Oscar nom because everybody thinks he got nominated for it and he actually didn't. And it's
so sad.
The scene that you talk about is the scene that should have won him the Oscar. The one you started out with, the scene where he's with the doctor and he's just, and it's just like one continuous shot. The way it's shot too is amazing. It's definitely one continuous shot and he's just in real time just breaking. It's to me, it's so shocking he didn't, again, the fact he not only didn't win, he didn't get nominated is just shocking. Kind of.
Yeah. Great. Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but you've all spoken so highly of
Kelsey,
it that I feel like I should.
You gotta see
all right, it's your turn to yell at me now that I haven't seen.
No, it's okay. No, it's never yelling. It's more like you should, like, not reprimanding, but like, these are great movies and Tom Hanks is just so good that it's like you can't see everything, but it's also like, oh, you need to see this. It's so good. It's more of an excited recommendation rather than a scolding.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Kelsey, you should be ashamed, Kelsey, for never seeing this. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Definitely a good like pirate thriller that I really enjoyed when it first came out. I wouldn't say you have to rush out to see it, but it's one if you like see it on when you're looking through Netflix or something, and check it out.
Yeah, it's also the fifth round. I feel like is where we can get a little bit more personal, and I took some heavy hitters: Forrest Gump, Toy Story 3, Castaway, and then I wanted to go a little bit more sentimental with Sleepless in Seattle, and I feel like Captain Phillips is a nice little personal pick to kind of round it out. So I'm happy with my draft board. Chad, you're getting your final pick here. How are you going to round out?
Yes.
You've got a pretty stacked one too. Like how everyone has a stacked draft board. How are you gonna round yours out?
I'm gonna round mine out with like the last movie that I actually threw on my list that I think. I don't think this movie is like a fantastic movie, but it's definitely a really fun, maybe underrated one. I know it's like got a really good like cult following. It's a Joe Dante film. It's The Burbs.
Oh, The Burbs.
Everyone's favorite film.
Nice.
Yeah.
Chad and I had to answer a trivia question about The Burbs.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you get it right?
Very fun.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
yes.
Hell yeah.
The Burbs. It's like a really kind of fun, like horror thriller about living in the suburbs where the neighbors are kind of weird, and you're just wondering what the hell's going on with them. And then, they go to like really crazy lengths to try to find out what's wrong with the neighbors. And I guess it's just kind of like if you live in the suburbs, you can really relate to it. If you have like neighbors who just do weird shit, maybe their neighbors do the most weird shit. That's up for debate, I guess. But it's a very fun kind of like I think it's supernatural, like kind of supernatural-esque.
Yeah. It blends a lot of different genres together, which I like about it. There's so many different genres.
And it still maintains that kind of like Gremlins feel. I think Gremlins is a better movie, but it still like, keeps that like vibe. And I think it's fantastic. The Burbs.
Yeah, I was going to say also, we don't have enough movies that aren't Star Wars movies with Carrie Fisher. I feel like we just needed more Carrie Fisher in the world. So I'm glad we have When Harry Met Sally. I'm glad we have The Burbs. The Blues Brothers, yes. But I wish we had more movies just of Carrie Fisher. So I'm glad this one exists.
I think she's in Scream 2 or Scream 3.
Yeah,
Scream 3. She's in a Scream. Straight Back as well.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm not saying she's not in movies, but again, I wish she was just in way more movies. And this is one of
Jay
those
and Silent Bob are
in
in Scream 2. So
yes,
Scream 3.
Scream 3.
Scream 3. Anyway, speaking of 3, pick 3, round 5. JD, you've got the final pick here. You have to take your animated here because you haven't taken an animated. So there are 2 animateds left. Which one are you going to pick?
So speaking of that, I took a strategic, gamble because I had a feeling this wasn't going to be chosen. In the Toy Story, kind of pantheon, even most people say this is the lesser one.
He's not picking Cars, so.
I thought he was going to go Simpsons movie, to be honest, but
I think.
So there we go. To answer our question, there is another animated because I forgot he's in Cars. That's right, Chad. He plays the Woody car.
Credits.
Yeah,
but
he does have 7.
Oh.
I made in a Discord chat that a couple of us are in. I made wave ranks for saying that this was my top ranked Pixar movie.
I remember that.
Over 1 overall.
Over 1 overall.
Yeah.
Toy Story 4. Toy Story 4. Look, it's my favorite. It is my favorite Pixar movie of them all.
Wow.
It hit me in such an interesting time. Woody, he's at a crossroads at his, in his life. He's now with a new owner who, it's a girl, so she's not going to have a need for a cowboy. She's going to gravitate more towards the cowgirl. And I think he's in the crossroads in his life. I really, and what they do with him and how they kind of explore that, I really appreciate how it's unabashedly a Woody movie, like a Woody story now too. Is that just seeing his journey from Toy Story 1 to Toy Story 4 and how that all plays out. I found that really inspiring, and it inspired me to make a change in my life also. So that is why Toy Story 4 is so high for me. I also appreciate that they tried to do something different with Buzz besides sidelining him for half of the movie. And what I actually really do like, he's an underrated comic relief character, so I actually like him trying to find his inner voice, because that's something he's never asked himself before. It said, I find it very underrated. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's your number one overall Pixar, so I'm glad you got it on your list. I like it. I think it's very good. I think the first 3 kind of exist in their own universe. I like 4 as almost like an epilogue, because it's not the toy story as much as it is just Woody's. But I do love that. I love the dynamic with Forky. The you are a toy, you are trash, all that stuff, and it has some interesting questions just about identity in general. And I think you can make even parallels to the real world with that kind of stuff. But yeah, like I really do enjoy it. I think that the little dummy dolls are terrifying as frick. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on this. I don't know who kids are watching, but
it's your show.
I was just gonna say, also the only Toy Story movie where the antagonist gets redeemed, which I also really
like. That's a good point too. Yeah, because lots of Hug and Bear freaking sucks. So does Sid. So does the Prospector. So yeah, you're right. This is the only one. But I will also say that ending almost got me to the point of Toy Story 3. Like I was crying like a baby, but it wasn't quite at the Toy Story 3 level, but it was close. And I think that final goodbye, it's like the end of an era, and it is sad, but it is also, it makes sense with the story they're telling, to where you're like that final infinity and beyond. I'm like, oh, like they got me again. Pixar got me again. So good. Brian, you're a big Pixar guy too. Yeah. I was gonna say Brian, then Chad.
I'm one of those people who cried Toy Story 4. I love this is how Toy Story 3 was the end of Andy's story. Toy Story 4 was the end of Willie's story. And I quite enjoyed the side characters like Ducky Buddy, who stole the thing for me. I agree with JD. One of the most underrated Toy Story films as well.
For sure. Chad, what do you have to say about Toy Story 4?
Definitely, because like when this one was announced, everyone was like, "Oh, the Toy Story trilogy is perfect," and I agree, it is perfect. But then they were like, why do we even need this one? And then it came out, and people were like, "Okay, damn it, it's fantastic." This animation is just like the best it's like ever been at this point. And I still even think like pretty much. I'm trying to think. I don't think nothing has since Toy Story 4 has come close to Toy Story 4 as far as the animation goes. I think just like the way they had Woody crawl out into the rain, and it just looks like picturesque, like the real, droplets, like it's real.
So
and you're just like, my God, this is fantastic. And then you have, everything everyone else said, and just like, a perfect little closeout. A fantastic film. Great pick, JD.
Yeah, really good pick. Yeah, and I don't think it's a controversial one either. I think we're all on the same page. Kelsey, do you like Toy Story 4 as much as the others? You didn't take
Um,
any Toy Stories today, so I'm curious. So, like, what are your thoughts
I
on the
did
Toy
not
Story
take any
franchise?
Toy Story. Well, to be honest with you, Toy Story, like I just don't have that nostalgic factor when it comes to Toy Story, and like
Mm,
kind of Pixar in general. Like I wasn't like a huge Pixar kid growing up, so they didn't
mm.
hold any weight nostalgically. I feel like Toy Story 3 is the one that I remember the most, and that's because it like came out when we were like in high school,
Middle school, I
middle
think. Yeah,
school.
yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah. See,
We
like
were
so that
12.
one
We were 12.
okay, so that one I remember the most, and that was just an iconic film. But I think that it's a smart pick for especially a Tom Hanks lineup
Yeah,
because it really is a Woody movie. It showcases him the
that's a good point.
best
That's a good point.
all around. And I think that this movie gets a bad rep mainly because I think that a lot of people are just disappointed in the ending in a way where they just like don't like the idea of Wood and Buzzy, hello, Woody and Buzz not being
Buzzy.
together anymore.
Oh.
You know what I
Buzzy.
mean? It's like
Yeah, yeah,
obviously
yeah,
like no one wants to see the band break up, so
yeah,
it's disappointing, but we understand that like
yeah.
Woody as a character has evolved and has moved on. But
Right.
yeah, so
There you go.
that's what I have to say about that.
Great. Cool. So Brian, you get your last pick now. Pick number 4 in the 5th round. This is the penultimate pick in the draft. So there's only going to be 2 movies left to pick. What are you going to pick as the penultimate pick of the draft?
I'm gonna go with a film he made a cameo in. I'm gonna go with Borat's subsequent movie film.
Okay. I didn't even have that on my radar, but yeah, tell me what
Wow.
is
Yeah, I
first
love
remind everyone what the cameo is because I
the
forgot
cameo
about this one.
is like he's thinking back of how COVID whole started, the film spreading it, and seeing him
Mm.
see him and Tom Hanks together. Borat comfort him somehow giving COVID, and yep, I decided to pick a controversial pick, a
Mm,
comedy, a film you don't really see him in. So yep, that's my pick.
Okay, it's a bold pick. I love it. I
I
think
love that.
the 5th round should be for the more like not eccentric,
Controversial,
but not
yeah.
even controversial, but like the ones that are more for you than for the poll. Like like not as many people talk about Captain Phillips, the Burbs, Borat, and especially amongst Toy Story, some people underrate Toy Story 4. So I'm glad like these films are getting talked about in the 5th round because I think I love the film. I think the film's great. I honestly forgot he was in it. But yeah, like that is a great
He's there toward
great
the end of
out
it.
of left field out of left field pick. Not out of the park, out of left field. Anyway, anyone thoughts on Borat 2? The Tom Hanks cameo. Any thoughts?
I love it. I'm in full
Yeah.
support of this.
Very,
This is
very weird movie, but very interesting pick. I didn't
Yeah.
think anybody would really pick that one. I did see it in his filmography, and I was like, I don't know if
Mhm.
anyone's going to pick that one. Very interesting,
Yeah.
Brian. Yeah.
So I'll be
Yeah.
honest, I haven't seen this one. I have not
Wow.
watched.
Okay.
Mm.
And somebody who is Borat was one of my first rated R movies
Pretty.
that I really seeked out. Like
Mhm.
it's surprising that I didn't go see the sequel, but I just knew it was going to trigger me, and I'm like, nah. I'm sure it's gonna be. I'm sure it's very good. I can't. No, I'm already too triggered as it is. I don't need to be more triggered.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, but definitely in the peak of COVID too. Like sometimes it
Yep.
was just a little
Mhm.
too much, but I think they did it in a clever way. The comedy of it. I think if we're looking at Tom Hanks movies, if it's a Tom Hanks movie, I think this is gonna play well. If it's a Tom Hanks movie, it might not. But I think I do appreciate the boldness of the pick and just being different. And in the
Yeah.
graphic, I will make sure it's the Tom Hanks shot. So yeah, like
Yes.
a very very fun pick, especially for round 5. So Kelsey, you get to round us out now. You get to take us home. There are still some heavy hitters left on the board. So what are you going to take as your final pick? Um, this is it. Round us out.
All right. Well, I just think that it's foolish to not go with a movie that has not only Tom Hanks in it, but another iconic actor, someone who I think should get her
Oh,
own draft day somewhere down the line, and that is Meryl Streep. So
yep,
I'm picking
Mm.
the Post.
Okay.
nice.
Um,
That was a backup pick for mine as well. Yeah, that's a good choice.
oh, this is my backup of my backups. So
Yeah.
because as I said before, a lot of my, top choices went, but I'm happy to have this one a part of my lineup just because, it is about a powerful woman, taking down the newspaper industry. And like I said, they are just two powerhouses. Like you hear a movie has Tom Hanks or Meryl Streep in it, and it's going to be iconic. And it got her an Oscar nom. So
Yeah, the
it's
fact that they're
good.
together,
And
they had never acted together, which was crazy
yes,
because
No.
they are the
Wow.
top
Yeah.
actor
yes,
and actress work like in terms of awards working right now today because Jack Nicholson has retired. So it's Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep. So yeah.
and there's other iconic names around them too. Sarah Paulson, Bob Odenkirk, like
Oh, he's
good,
so good in
good,
that
Oh
too.
yeah.
good,
Mhm.
Oh
good
yeah.
lineup, good cast
Yeah.
here.
I was gonna say I'm a little upset because all of you have Spielberg movies and I don't, and I'm like, wow,
Mm.
maybe I should have picked something, but because there were a few left on the board that were Spielberg too, or
Yeah.
one big one, Bridge of Spies was left on the board, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Underrated.
I like that pick. I didn't love it when I saw it, but I think the more I've reflected on it, I think it was because everyone was hyping it up so much because it was going to be the
Mm,
Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks movie, and it's a lot more
sure.
of a smaller, more personal film. It's almost like Spotlight. It's more about the the
Yeah.
ins and outs of different like behind the scenes things and corporations and the presidency and all that stuff and the government. Like
Yeah.
it's really really interesting, really really captivating. So I'm excited to go back and watch this now that especially since you brought it up. Any other thoughts on the post? Anyone?
Yeah, I mean, this one kind of falls into the post like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull Spielberg
Post.
era where everything is
Yeah.
kind of like not great, but it's like,
Mm.
good. I think the
Mm,
post is underrated. I think Bridge of Spies is actually very underrated,
Yes.
but yeah,
Mm.
it falls
Okay.
into that territory, I think. Good
Yeah.
Yeah.
movie though. And Jesse
Yeah.
Plemons is also in it, I believe.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Any other thoughts, JD,
Yeah.
Brian?
I
Before
mean,
we move on.
you get the Mr. Show guy reunited. You got David Cross and Bob Odenkirk in the film as well.
Oh, right.
Yeah. There you
Nice.
go. JD, any thoughts on the post before we go to
Yeah,
honorable mentions?
I said I'm kind of with Chad. It's a good movie. It's that era where it's good, not great Spielberg. Like,
He's back
Right.
though with West Side Story. He's back to great now. So
yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
True. I agree.
I do
I agree
think,
with that.
like Chad, I do think Bridge of Spies is underrated, and it was on my list of backups. But
yeah.
I think this is really good. Matthew Rise is in this too. Like Matthew,
Mhm.
Matthew Reese. Yeah.
Matthew Reese, it's in this too. It's a who's cast. It's
Yeah,
really
definitely.
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that is our draft day for Tom Hanks. Some left on the board, which I'll mention in just a sec from my honorable mentions. But let me first recap our draft boards. Starting with mine: Forrest Gump, Toy Story 3, Castaway, Sleepless in Seattle, Captain Phillips. Chad's Toy Story, Saving Private Ryan, Big, The Green Mile, and The Burbs. JD's That Thing You Do, Catch Me. Sorry, there's an exclamation point. That Thing You Do, Catch Me If You Can, Apollo 13, Charlie Wilson's War, and Toy Story 4. Brian, Toy Story 2, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Saving Mr. Banks, The Terminal, and Borat subsequent movie film, and Kelsey, The Polar Express, A League of Their Own, Philadelphia, You've Got Mail, and The Post. What a good crop of films. I don't know how anyone's going to possibly be able to vote for this, but they will. There will be a graphic that airs right after this on, I guess I'm airing this Sunday. So, yeah, really, really great. Honorable mentions. I had a few. Splash is a good like early Tom Hanks one. Road to
Yes.
Perdition, which I know a lot of people like. A lot of people like
Yeah.
Road to Perdition. Turner and Hooch for all you dog fans out there. The
Mm,
Da Vinci Code trilogy. I don't love it as much, but I
mm.
know like that would have been a fun like dads would have been all over that on the board, on the draft board. Like we said,
Dan
Bridge of Spies. I
Brown.
alluded to it earlier. Sully. The new one, Elvis. I haven't seen it, but I know people like it. And the other Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks, the first one they did together, Joe versus the Volcano. Anyone else have any honorable mentions? Chad, any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna highlight Splash and Bridge of Spies. I was thinking Splash, and then I saw the Burbs, and I was like, oh, because I kind of like came into this draft day, change of schedule, kind of jumped in this, so I didn't really have like a entire like big list prepared. But yeah, those were definitely two that I might have mentioned if I didn't see the Burbs.
Yeah, you did a great job drafting it. It's a really strong
Thank
draft board.
you.
How about you, JD? Any honorable mentions?
So I have a couple. News
Okay.
of the World,
Mm.
actually,
Yes.
is really fantastic. This one may shock some people, but Cloud Atlas is
Ooh,
is
yeah.
actually really good. I actually think is really underrated. And Tom Hanks plays a villain for part of it, which we don't really see. Like if I had to have like that was going to be in my back pocket if I like ran out of like out of options, like
Right.
it was that. Those are my couple.
Cool. Brian, any honorable mentions for you?
Yeah, Sully, News of the World,
Yep.
Punchline, and Larry Crown.
Larry Crown,
Mm.
another one that he
Mm.
directed. Yeah, that's another. I think he's only directed 2 films, so maybe he should do that more. Kelsey, any honorable mentions?
My honorable mentions are on my list. So
All right,
no.
there you go. Yeah, a really strong crop of movies. We've hit 25 good ones, but there's still so many other good ones out there left to talk about. Simpsons movie also not picked, and we couldn't pick South Park or the Carly Rae Jepsen videos, but maybe in a future draft we will. Anyway, where
Check
can they
that video
find you?
out. It's great.
Yeah, I
sorry.
will. Any last words? Convince your voters to vote for you, and yeah, plug yourselves. Chad, first, you're up.
Yeah, mine is a great list. No psych. No, I'm on picture this with Dylan. Love doing it every month. We're doing 2001 next month. In light of the series for Lord of the Rings, please check that out if you love Lord of the Rings and the other movies from 2001 through 3. In the next few months, I do a lot of trivia. Nothing really to talk about there, but I might play JD at some point in a league. Doing geek stuff there, but I do a lot of movie battlegrounds, and so I debate a lot. And I'm at some point I'm playing Sean Hunter, and I'm very excited about that one. We have a lot of great questions to discuss there, so check that over at TMG. Yeah, I do my own channel. I do it's called Chadwick Webb, where we basically just rank stuff sometimes just for fun with my buddy James. Dylan's been on there, and my wife Carrie has been on there. We might get some people else on there too, but we've done Edgar Wright, Christmas, Harry Potter. We started doing the MCU rankings. We did phase 1 and phase 2, and then we're going to do phase 3 soon. It's a much bigger list of films. So check that out. And thank you guys. This was a great show.
Of course.
Thanks, Dyl.
JD, what do you got for us?
Well, I don't want to influence any votes because vote tampering. So you can find me at the JD Domash. You can find me, doing trivia stuff like Chad for the time being. You can also find me doing movie battleground. I may be on a Chad hosted one pretty soon, facing Jacob West. So
Papa West, nice.
be on the lookout for that at some point. Oops, I may have said something. No, that actually aired already. So yeah, we're good. Yeah, you can find me and again, you can find updates at JD Domash.
Very cool. Brian, where can they find you?
Find me doing trivia most of the time on JPO's channel, being Witchy most of the time. I judge movie battleground most of the time. Sometimes on Rank 'em, sometimes on the Movie Hero Network, sometimes on the Fly Cow doing Disney trivia. Mostly doing trivia. I'm in the TMG Geek Tournament with Brand Dunlap, the Golden Thieves. Our first match aired last Sunday, and we're having another match coming up against the Movie Heroes.
Very cool.
And if you vote for the ones you think are great.
Yes, I love that. Vote for the ones you think are great. Kelsey,
sweet.
what any last words and where can they find you?
Listen, I don't know how people are going to vote because I feel like we all have just such amazing movies and aspects of his career. Because he's really had such a great one, and he will hopefully continue to have one for many years to come. And so we all have great lineups. I don't know how people are going to decide. But you can find me on Marvelous Movie Mondays with my good friend Dylan Randazzo, right here on the Dyl Pickle Movie Network. Yeah, it's you. It's the host of this show. Sorry, if you don't know him, he hosts the show.
Yeah,
and
he's a crazy person.
You can subscribe to our podcast. You can follow me on TikTok. I'm on TikTok at Cause13, or you can check out my YouTube videos. I've been posting some sketches with my friend Lily on my YouTube channel at Cause at. There's no at on YouTube. Am I 80 years old? Cause Productions.
It's
you
fine.
for
You're
your
you're
time.
living in the you've got mail days still. No, but
I am.
thank you all for watching. And one last thing, if you are voting, there's a Facebook poll. It should be available as this is ending, with a graphic so you can see it all lined up. And then you will have a separate poll where you can vote for your winner. If you were on this panel, you cannot vote for your own draft. So Chad has to vote for one of our four. JD has to vote, and same old. So because that would be unfair. Because we'd all pick our own, obviously. Actually, no, I'd probably pick someone else's anyway. But it's fine. Yeah, I really had fun. Tom Hanks, great. America's Dad. Hope everyone had a happy Father's Day last week. Hope everyone has been enjoying Elvis if they've seen it. I hope everyone is okay. A lot of crazy stuff happening in the world. I hope everyone's holding up okay, and we are thinking of everyone right now. It's a very tough time, and our hearts go out to everyone who is, as scared as I am, as hurt as I am. But we do this stuff, this kind of all these these videos because we need something to kind of get us through the days. But I do want to make sure I mentioned all the stuff happening because I still think it's important to not also ignore what's going on in the world. But this was a fun time. I'm very happy we got to talk about Tom Hanks. And next month, I can tell you what next month's draft day is going to be because the hosts, we were proactive this time. We planned ahead. We'll be doing a trilogies draft day. We're drafting trilogies straight up. We're going to be drafting some of the best trilogies of all time, kind of in tandem with our Picture This theme as well. And just because it's summer blockbuster season, so there's a lot of great trilogies out there. And we want to do a trilogies draft before all these trilogies become quadrilogies and so on, because Toy Story is now ineligible.
Feature number one.
Yes. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you want on, we have some slots. I think we might be full, but I'm still going to post in case we have any last minute dropouts if anyone wants to be on that. But otherwise, that was draft day. That was Chad, JD, Brian, Kelsey, and I. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.